There are 7 key elements that go into building an aesthetic, masculine physique. Having broad cap shoulders, wide upper back and lats, a built but defined chest, a thick neck, fuller arms, tight waistline, and teardrop legs. These 7 elements will give you the very desirable V-taper, and in today's video I'll be going through my pull day workout to show how I train to achieve this. So in my previous video I talked about what I did on my push day, which was my chest and triceps. In today's video I'm covering my pull muscles, which will be your back, biceps, and for me, your rear delts. So without wasting any more time, let's just get straight into it. As I mentioned at the start, having a wide upper back and a thick neck contribute to achieving the coveted V-taper. Because of this, on my pull days, you'll see that I focus on back width over back thickness. Yes, a thick back looks very good, but from the front, it's actually your width that's going to be noticed. That's what's going to give you the nice V, not how juicy thick you are in the rear. Due to this, you'll see I have like one exercise dedicated to back thickness currently. When warming up, aim to strengthen the mind-muscle connection between you and the body parts you plan to be working out. So because of this, you should do dynamic stretches or light variations of exercises that you plan on doing in your main working sets. Okay, so the first exercise for me is lat pull downs with a slightly wider than shoulder width hand position. When performing the movement, you are effectively trying to tuck your elbows into your pockets. Pretend that you're trying to snap the bar in half. When it comes to the range of motion, I like to mix it up between having a full stretch at the top and stopping just before full stretch, as I've noticed that once you go into full stretch, there's actually a reduction in tension on the lower lats, and it's the lower lats that is what's going to give you the width from the front. So mixing up every now and again works out pretty good. I perform this exercise for 4 to 5 sets, doing 8 to 12 reps, incrementally increasing the weight. My second and third exercise is the seated row machine, and I do this using 2 different hand grips, the first one being vertical and the second one being horizontal. The vertical hand grip once again targets the lower lats, which contributes to your lat width, while the horizontal hand grip contributes to a bit of back thickness. And this is pretty much the only exercise I do to just increase the back thickness, give me a little bit more of a turtle shell. So full range of motion for this one. At the start of the movement, I will tend to round my back, even like overly round it, and that's just get a full stretch on the lats. And then when you pull it in, it's a full squeeze of the shoulder blades to maximize that contraction. I will do this for 4 sets, 12 to 15 reps, and that is for both vertical and horizontal hand position. So this is pretty high volume. Fourth exercise is lat pull downs again, but instead I'm using a machine or one that requires plates. The reason I switch it up is because even though the movement is effectively the same, when I'm doing lateral pull downs with the cables, I have to utilize more stabilizing muscles in order to stop the bar from tilting one way or another, which does make for a good exercise if you're trying to focus on one side of the lats, but for what I'm targeting, I try to keep that stability. So when I switch the machines, I notice I have to use my stabilizing muscles less. So it's good to use both as it helps target the back width just the same. 3 sets on this, 10 to 12 reps. Fifth exercise is horizontal lat pull downs using the cables. Excellent for lower lats again, aiming to squeeze at the bottom of the movement, keeping the elbows tucked in, and imagining that I'm like trying to crack a nut in between my lats and my armpits. I will perform this for 3 sets, 12 to 15 reps. For my 6th exercise, I'm looking to target the upper trap muscles, which helps to build the thicker neck region. It's a superset, which is where you do 2 exercises back to back, usually targeting the same muscle group. So for this, I do shoulder shrugs using the cable machine. Now you can use dumbbells, plates, a straight bar, or as I do using the cables. It doesn't really matter, the movement is still the same. None of this rolling of the shoulders, because that actually takes tension off midway through. It's just straight up, straight down. For this I do 20 reps, you can go quite heavy with this. You won't injure yourself going heavy here as long as you don't turn your head side to side midway through the movement. From this I immediately go into upright rows, still using the cables. Now for this you're going to want to drop the weight significantly because this movement is known for how risky it can be and how prone it is to injury due to the stress placed on your rotator cuffs. The way I do this is with a slightly narrower than shoulder width hand position, going straight up and straight down, not letting the bar pass my mid to lower chest region. At this point, my elbows will be at 90 degrees with my body and not any higher. This exercise has the double benefit of not only working your upper trap muscles, but also your lateral delts, which help to contribute to the cap to shoulder look. I do that for 12 reps, and then that superset is repeated 3 times. Okay, so your posterior or rear delts. I leave these for my pull days because the movements are executed in a pulling fashion. You do not want to skip this muscle. Even though it may not be seen, it contributes heavily to how you look from the side and how you look from the rear. It really brings up the back in a whole. And it also contributes to your posture as well, as when you work your rear delts, it helps to bring the shoulders back, which helps push the chest up. Not only does that make you look better, but it also makes you stand straighter. So all in all, your rear delts is something that you cannot skip on your pull days. They don't even take that much to train either, because they're worked as a secondary muscle to exercises that are done previously in the workout. So I only do 1 superset for this, and this is just machine rear delt flies, followed up with dumbbell rear delt flies. And I will do this for 3 sets, 12 to 15 reps. Okay, so we move on to your biceps and forearms. Forearms aren't something that's really trained in isolation by a lot of people because it's used as a secondary muscle in exercises such as deadlifts and pull-ups, basically anything that requires some grip strength. But the thing I like about forearms is that even in clothing, you can tell somebody works out simply by how built their forearms are. It's a very aesthetic muscle, so I like to train in isolation as well. The bicep is split into 2 parts, which is your long head on the outside and your short head on the inside. Your long head contributes to bicep peak, while your short head contributes to bicep width. So you train both. An easy way to know if you're training your long head or your short head is that if your elbows are behind your body, then you're going to be training your long head. So think about your incline dumbbell curl. But if your elbows are placed in front of your body, then you're going to be training your short head. So think of your preacher curls. In addition, depending on your hand placement, the part of the bicep that you can visibly see is what will be trained. So by this I mean a narrow grip would expose the long head, a wider grip would expose the short head. So to train the biceps, using the cables for constant tension, I will do 15 to 20 drag curls going straight into 10 spider curls. And for those exercises I just mentioned, I will do that for 3 sets. Heading into the forearm training, I like to do wrist curls in both a pronated and supinated position, which simply just means palms down and palms up. Aiming for 12 to 15 reps on both of those positions with a lighter dumbbell weight. Your forearms don't really take that much to train whatsoever. From this, I go into plate curls, which act like hammer curls due to their neutral hand position. Not only does this help to work the forearm, but it also helps to work the brachialis muscle, which is a muscle that sits underneath the bulk of the bicep. And when that is trained, it helps to push up both the long head and the short head, giving for a much fuller looking arm. For the plate curls, I perform 12 to 15 reps, and in combination with the wrist curls, that makes for a superset that I repeat 3 times. And as a finisher to all of that, I will do 2 sets of max pull-ups. And if you can't do any pull-ups, then I suggest you use resistance bands in order to assist you.
But what about the pull-up machine? Those exist, don't they?
Look, I say you should use resistance bands over the pull-up machine because you have a more accurate progression towards bodyweight pull-ups using the resistance band over if you were to use just the pull-up machine. And that's my pull day. Similarly to my push day, the reason I work in the order of back, rear delts into biceps and forearms is because those muscles act as secondary muscles to my main back muscles, and in order to prevent early fatigue on my back muscles, I will do those afterwards. This is so that I don't compromise the overall intensity of the workout. In my next video, I'll be going over how I train my legs for aesthetics, so make sure you're tuned in for that. But until then, I've been Tahir Sutherland, and I'll see you at the top.